Hello, my happy Crumpin' Wargamers. Welcome back to another episode of Happy Crumpin' Wargaming. Today, we will talk about one of the coolest freaking armies in the entire game, and an army that is causing a lot of problems in the meta, but it doesn't need to. And there's just a few simple tweaks that you can make to your gameplay that'll make it so that you never lose to World Eaters again. Alright, now we're gonna hop right into the video. So starting off, what are the big problems about World Eaters? Why is this list giving everyone so much trouble? We just saw Anthony Vanilla go to the California Cup, and he went like, was it 9-0? I think 8-0, or one of those two. And he just smashed the entire world. Truly, the World Eaters burned the world, and they ate it all. But is this something that is a foregone conclusion? Is this a problem for the meta? Well, the answer is no, absolutely not. This is something I've been seeing crop up online quite a bit. They're talking about World Eaters, Orks. They're talking about these things are big meta problems. Oh no, how do you fix them? They're all broken, they're unbalanced. It's all nonsense. None of that is true. Let's identify the problems of the army and how we're going to play against it. And I think what you'll learn by the end of this video is you're going to figure out, oh, if I lose to World Eaters, it's almost certainly going to be my fault. Okay, so what is the problem? The first problem that we have to identify when we're playing against World Eaters is crazy speed. World Eaters are basically the fastest army in the game. They are exceptionally fast. It is a really big problem, and a lot of armies just aren't, a lot of generals, I should say, just aren't prepared to deal with this speed. They have tons of melee attacks. Tons of them. They have crazy amounts of attacks, and they're all at relatively high strength. They're going to have access to lethal hits, sustained hits, and they get to reroll hit rolls if they're close to Angron. By the way, when you get to reroll hit rolls when you're also have lethal or sustained, that's a pretty good recipe for destruction and doom. Then the third problem is Angron himself. Angry Ron is an issue. We're going to talk about why he's an issue and how we counter him. And then there's a few other things that aren't really issues, but like you'll see some skew list. I know I played in a scrim against a country a little while ago, and they were bringing 2 corn-loaded skulls with Angron, and that was actually pretty problematic because Angron's reroll aura will actually let the corn-loaded skulls get reroll to hit while they're shooting, which makes their shooting disgusting. So there's a few little intricacies about the army that can crop up, but those aren't real problems. I just threw it in here for fun, basically. All right, so let's just start identifying this and fixing this stuff out. All right, let's talk about the crazy speed. How does this crazy speed work? Because we're going to have to identify the problem. We're going to have to figure out how it works before we can come up with an actual solution for it. So I always feel like this is the best way to do it. Thanks to the blessings of corn, which is a whole big chart, which if you guys want to see the chart, you can go to the Discord, it's posted there, or just Google it, it'll pop up. Anyway, basically what happens is your World Eater's opponent is going to roll 8 dice at the beginning of the battle round, and they're going to select up to 2 of the options from this chart. And one of those options is going to be +2 to move for every unit in the army. Now, the thing about this is that choice is always available, because the only thing that you have to have in order to make that choice to get +2 inches to move to the whole army is any roll of a double, which on 8 dice is impossible to not have a roll of a double. So they will always have access to +2 to move. Then what they're going to be able to do is they're going to have like a 67-ish% chance of having access to advance and charge. And there are ways to increase the chance of getting access to advance and charge to the whole freaking army. They can do this through enhancements, through unit abilities, etc. But they can boost that all the way up to like something astronomical, like 88% chance of getting access to advance and charge for the whole army. So when you play against World Eaters, you really need to deploy with the knowledge that the entire army is going to be at +2 to move and advancing and charging. Now, they also have a stratagem for 1 CP, which is going to let them auto-advance 6 inches. A lot of people don't necessarily think those type of stratagems are great. However, when you stack that with the fact that the entire army is going to get advance and charge, suddenly that's a very strong stratagem. They also will have access to a 6-inch scout for all infantry. Now, this isn't like a Penelope. They do have to work for it. Their 8-bound automatically have a 6-inch scout move, and then one of their special characters, Lord Invocatus, will give a 6-inch scout move to 2 units that do not already have scout in their profile. So they can get a 6-inch scout move a lot. What happens when you add all this together? Well, essentially what happens is you take 8-bound, which are their signature units, and they are freaking awesome. These guys move 9 inches, so you give them +2 to move because you're going to give them +2 to move. So then they get an 11-inch move. But we're also going to add into them a 6-inch scout move. So minimum, these guys will move essentially 17 inches in the first turn of the game, because they're going to scout move 6 inches, and then they're going to move their 11 inches. Now, let's stack that with advance and charge. On average advance of 3 inches, these guys are moving 20 inches on average if they have the advance and charge. Without advance and charge, they're moving 17. Even with just the 17-inch, that is enough to turn 1 charge you. However, if they get the advanced charge, they're moving 20 inches on average. That is almost a certain turn 1 charge, and it will cause really big problems if you're not prepared for it. Let's take this even a step further, and let's say that we just want to spend a CP for an auto advance. Suddenly, these guys are moving 23 inches turn 1, and they will screw you up. One of the really cool things about the Exalted 8-bound in particular, is that these guys, whenever you are within 6 inches of them, if you want to fall back, you have to pass a leadership test, which is a very, very cool thing. So they can sometimes even just tag a bunch of different units, making it so only one of your units fails to pass the leadership test, so that one unit can't fall back, so then nothing in your army can shoot this big brick of 6 terrifying warriors. It's a problem to be handled. And we're going to talk about how we're going to handle those problems. So let's talk about the next problem that we have to deal with. There are tons of attacks at high strength. The detachment bonus for the World Eaters is going to be +1 attack and +1 strength on the charge. So your Exalted 8-bound are going to have a staggering 36 attacks at strength 7, AP 2, damage 2. And they're going to have a bonus 6 attacks at strength 15, AP 3, damage 2. And the reason why I say and is because the unit champion is going to have a little bit of a different weapon. Or they can use a different weapon profile, and they come with both weapon profiles, so they can choose either one, which will get them up to 30 attack, strength 5, AP 3, damage 2. And these guys will be hitting on 2s with their 36 attack profile, or they're hitting on 3s with their 30 attack profile. It is a lot of attacks that will cause a ton of freaking damage. And remember, they're also going to have access to sustained hits, lethal hits, reroll hit rolls. It's going to be quite hard for them to stack all of those abilities, though, but technically possible. All right, then we can see a basic unit of Berserkers. Even a basic unit of Berserkers, guys, is going to be 40 attacks at strength 6, AP 1, damage 1, and 8 attacks at strength 9, AP 2, damage 2, hitting on 3s. Once again, potential access to sustained, lethal, reroll if they're within Angron's range. So, all of these, what I'm trying to say is that these guys will smash in melee. They will absolutely smash. They have essentially 0 shooting to be concerned about, but their melee is very, very terrifying. They also have access to a 1 CP strat, which will give them +1 to wound against characters, monsters, and vehicles. So take that relatively high strength damage and be like, oh yeah, but I've got really high toughness vehicles. And then what you realize when they use their strat, suddenly those really high toughness vehicles you have are still going to be wounded on 4s. And that is scary. All right, so let's talk about the next threat. Angron himself. This dude is a beast, and he is a huge problem for a lot of armies to deal with. He can be dealt with, however. So, first off, this guy, you can give him a guaranteed 22-inch move. Or 22-inch turn 1 move, assuming that you get the advance and charge rolls. Because he moves 14, then you choose one of the blessings to give him +2 inches to move, so he moves 16, and then you use your 1 CP to give him auto advance of 6, so this guy will move 22 inches in turn 1. Guaranteed. That is frightening, because this guy, he's the hardest hitter in the game. He just is. It just is what it is. So with 9 attacks, he can hit at strength 17 on the charge, AP 4, damage D6 +2. He's going to be hitting on 2s. His aura, he can choose to either give himself and everyone within 6 inches of him +1 to charge, or reroll hit rolls. There's another one as well, which never comes up. So that is pretty freaking good. So he's going to be hitting on 2s with reroll hits. Remember, he can give himself lethal. You can give the army also the lethal sustained. All these things stack, right? And if you want, you could give him the 1 CP stratagem to be +1 to wound. So suddenly he's wounding everything on 2s. His sweep profile is also pretty freaking disgusting, because on the charge, it's going to be 19 attacks at strength 9, AP 2, damage 2. Remember, he gets to reroll hit rolls, and he can still use that strat for +1 to wound. Very, very gross. Then the last thing he does is, when you do manage to kill him, which is not the easiest thing to kill, he's still like toughness 11 with a 2-up armor save and a 4-up invuln. I mean, not the hardest thing to kill. He's got 16 wounds, but most people can focus him down, but he's not easy to kill either. Well, at any point in time in the game, when they roll 3 6s on a Blessings of Corn roll, which is how they get their abilities, suddenly, Homeboy's coming back to life. So he is a problem, and he's a big problem for a lot of armies. He does give up a lot of points on Assassinate and Bring It Down, though, because every time you kill him, you get more Bring It Down and Assassinate points. Just saying. But yeah, he's a super powerful piece, and you need to be able to counter him. And I'm going to tell you how you can counter him with any army in the game in just a brief moment. Let's check out the last thing I have to say. All right, before we move on, guys, take a deep breath, because everything I just said was very, very scary. But there's something that you just need to understand. How are we going to deal with this? Is we're just going to accept it. Welcome to acceptance. Listen, here's the deal, everybody. The reason why you're probably getting smashed by World Eaters, why you can get smashed by Orks, a lot of, honestly, yeah, we'll just go with those for right now. In my opinion, I think Stormlance is going to be much better than people are currently saying it is. But the reason why all this is happening to you is, and when I say you, I'm using the colloquial you, not just necessarily you individually, because I'm sure many of you guys are not falling for these traps. I'm sure many of you have thought about this. But in all reality, the community of Warhammer 40,000 has not accepted the fact that melee exists. Where people are walking around covering their eyes saying, oh, no, this is a shooting game. Shooting is what kills people. And yeah, sometimes you end up slapping each other in melee. That is a terrible opinion to have, and you shouldn't have it anymore. If you accept the fact that melee is real, and it is a real threat, and it's a real problem, then suddenly you can start making your army list to counter armies like World Eaters. That doesn't mean you have to switch to a fully melee army. No, it doesn't. But what does it mean? Well, one thing that it really, really means is that screens are an absolute must. You have to have screens in your army. So does that mean that yes, I understand you want to take 3 Repulsor Executioners, and you want to take 3 Invictor Warsuits, and you want to take 3 Redemptor Dreadnoughts. But does that mean that that's the best idea? No. Maybe you drop 2 of those Redemptor Dreadnoughts, you keep the tanks, and then you create some screens. It's a really important thing that you're going to have to do. You have to create balanced list. If you don't create balanced list, you're going to be like, oh no, melee's overpowered, it's OP. It's really not. You're all wrong when you say this. It's not OP. People are just playing poorly right now. They are thinking of the game as only being pure shooting and melee not existing. However, once we accept that, we'll be okay. So we're going to start taking screens. And now what I really encourage everyone is that you must have a counter punch threat in your army. A counter punch threat. So when these Exalted 8-bound come in, or when my Ork Horde surges forward, or even when my Custodes come in and start slapping about, you have a unit that in your turn, you can charge through to clear my Doom Brick out. You need it. It's really important. So even shooting armies in my opinion, need at least one dedicated melee threat that can screw up a opponent that's trying to punch you in turn 1 or turn 2 alpha strikes. Okay, so deployment requirements. Here's the deal, guys. We're going to have a few requirements for deployment going on. And if you guys didn't check my video on how to deploy, go watch it. It's a really good video. I'm really proud of that video. I think it just did a phenomenal job, and I think it's going to help you with your deployment. If you want other help with deployment, by the way, hop on down to my coffee link and join my members only section of my Discord, where I regularly do little workshops where I'm showing people how to do really cool little tips and tricks on the game. I also do tactical teaching streams. Like I've got one coming up on this Saturday where we're going to be doing a live stream of a TTS game where we're going to be teaching the entire time. It's very exciting, and you can learn a bunch from it. But here's the deal. If World Eaters go first, they will first turn charge if you make it attractive to them. Now, a lot of times your better World Eater players will choose not to turn 1 strike, right? Because it lets them set up for a turn 2, a turn 3. However, if you make it attractive, they're going to do it. But it's not just about putting a row of bodies in front of you. You have to make sure that you're playing for the new rules for engagement. Remember, the rules for pile-in are very, very new in 10th edition. They're not the same as they were in 9th edition. Now, if I pile into a unit that I didn't declare charge against, I can still hit it. And that's really freaking important for you to remember. So if you are laying a screen down, you still need to make sure that the units that screen is screening are at least 3.1 inches behind the screen, so that when they do their consolidate, they cannot engage you in melee. Or when they do if they charge, say, 2 units into a screen of Gretchen, for example, 1 unit kills the Gretchen, the other unit then piles into the thing you were trying to protect and kills it anyway. You can't allow them to do that, because that's what they're hoping that you're wanting to do. They're hoping that you're just putting this thin line of screening in front of you, and that you're just standing right behind it thinking you're safe. You're not anymore. So that's just the thing. You have to be 3.1 inches behind your screen. Also, you don't need to be deploying super far back. That's typically a very bad idea, and you're just going to let the World Eaters claim the entire battlefield. So let me show you what we're talking about. I'm going to go on TTS, and I'm going to show you how I deploy with my Custodes to always beat World Eaters, and how I'm going to deploy with my Orks to always beat World Eaters. I'm just using those because those are the armies I know super, super well. I've got a few other armies I play as well, but these are the ones I really, really know. And for any army that you play, you should be able to extrapolate how to make your deployment against World Eaters as well. the trick against World Eaters is that you deploy differently against them than you do any other army in the game. So let's switch on over to TTS and we'll show you what we got. All right, so the thing I've got loaded up here is my Custodes against the World Eaters. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit so we can all see. So essentially what I've got here is, this is my current Custodes list that I'm playing. I've got 2 units of Venatori in reserve. I've got Trajan's unit here with a bunch of Wardens. And then I've got a bunch of Wardens hanging out with Mr. Valerian. I've got a Calidus Assassin, I have an Eversor Assassin, and I've got a unit of Witch Seekers here and a unit of Prosecutors covering me right here. Then on the back flank here, I've got a unit of Alaris Custodian Terminators. Now, my thought process is right here. I know that he's going to be able to move super far turn 1. Let's take Angron, for example. Angron moves 22 inches guaranteed. So he gets to move right here. That is scary. That's how far he moves. Let's do this one more time. This is his deployment zone. He moves 22 inches like this. That is insane. He's so darn fast. If you're not ready to counter this, you will get hurt. All right, so let me show you how we counter all of this. Scout moves. Your opponent gets to scout first. Let's say World Eaters go first, and Custodes are hoping not to die. I've deployed this way very specifically. Trajan's unit is the only unit that's going to be able to fight first in this battle round, because this is battle round 1, so you're only going to have 1 CP. So you can't say have Valerian's unit standing here and expect to fight first. It won't work because you'll only have 1 CP. So what you have to do is you have to hide behind your Prosecutors and your Witch Seekers. You don't even have to hide that far, but you need to hide a little bit at least, right? Trajan squad doesn't really have to hide because anyone who charges them, Trajan squad will fight first and just absolutely obliterate anyway, which is generally pretty okay. But I actually am going to hide them a little bit because even though I would fight first, I'd rather not have to pop my fight first. I'd rather just not get engaged at all. So I can have my Eversor up here because I know if I do go first, maybe my Eversor scores me like a tempting target or something. And if I go second, then I can just deploy him backwards. No big deal. So I'm just going to deploy him backwards on his scout move. We are going to scout move 6 inches forward with these Exalted. Then he's going to scout move 6... Oh, geez. And then he's going to scout move forward 6 inches with these guys. All right. Angron is going to, in his movement phase, move 16 and auto-advance 6 inches. So he's going to want to go with 22. But remember, I have Witch Seekers. Witch Seekers, which I have deployed in the only lane where Angron can really go. I guess Angron could have gone over here, and if he did, then I would have deployed the Witch Seekers over here. But I did them to counter him. So what I do is I just scout move my Witch Seekers up. Something like this, actually, I think is probably going to be best. Okay, and then Angron's going to move up. Even if he wants to go 22 inches, he can't. He can come over here, he can come right here, but he's not going to be able to land right here because he can't land on my models. So suddenly his movement gets horribly stifled. Horribly stifled. And then if he wants to charge Trajan squad, it's an impossible charge. So now Angron is completely neutered. So he's going to kill a unit of Witch Seekers, and I just don't care. Then we've got these Exalted 8-bound. They're going to move their 11 inches, and let's say they advance 3 inches, which is average, so they're going to put them up 14 inches. All right. And then these guys will do basically the exact same darn thing. So let's say they go there 14. Heck, let's just say these Exalted 8-bound get a good advance roll, and they get to charge right here. And they get to move their full distance of 23 inches turn 1. All right, so they're there. All right, so what's happened right now is at this point in time, I have basically already won the freaking game. Okay, so Angron's going to kill some Witch Seekers. Oop. Don't care if these Witch Seekers die. Now, let's say he flies over and kills them. He's too far away from anything to be able to pile in to engage. So even if he like kills these guys and he wants to consolidate, he won't want to consolidate over here because that just lets me hit him for free. But let's just say he does. So let's say he ends his consolidation like for there or something. Sorry, TTS is being annoying right now. So he's right there. If these Exalted 8-bound are foolish and they want to charge Trajan's unit's going to fight first, and they're going to kill the Exalted 8-bound. That's just that simple. If these 8-bound want to charge, they can come kill the Prosecutors. And then next turn, Valerian's unit comes and kills them. And then Trajan's squad just comes up here. And let's say he doesn't charge, they are going to kill these guys. So what's going to happen is essentially in the World Eater's turn, they're going to move their entire army up if they choose to use their strategy to kill 80 points of my army, 90 points of my army. And then I'm going to immediately slaughter. Angron dies. Boom. Exalted 8-bound dies, and then these 8-bound dies. So I'll kill 1,000 points of his army. When you deploy like this, you basically give the World Eater no opportunity to use their first turn advance or charge, and it works super, super well. How do we do this with another army? Well, let me just go ahead and load in another thing that I did for you guys to show Orks. My Orks right now, I don't think it's actually even possible for World Eaters to beat my Orks. I mean, of course, crazy dice things can happen. I'm not saying dice are never super stupid. Occasionally they actually are. But let's just show how I would deploy my Orks army. Most of you know my Orks army by now. I have 2 units of Gretchen. I got some Death Copses and stuff. But essentially, this is how I would just deploy, right? I'm deployed 3.1 inches, or 3.2 inches here, away from my screens. So it doesn't matter if he charges and kills him. He still can't pile in and attack me. Basically, same thing right here, and same thing over here. I've got 1 unit of Gretchen right here. I'll just go ahead and highlight this unit for you. Boop. And then I've got another unit of Gretchen right here. We'll highlight this unit for you. Boop. Cool. Then I've got like flash kits inside this truck, knobs inside this truck, and then beast snag is inside of here. I've got these copters covering this flank. My entire deployment zone is completely screened. So when we're looking at World Eaters, Angron can come on up. Let's say that he goes 12 inches there, and then we'll give him another 10 inches or something. I know that was a little sloppy. Just ignore me. So what's he going to do? He's going to charge in and kill a bunch of Gretchen. I don't give any craps if he kills Gretchen. We're going to do the same thing. Let's say that these guys get their really good advance again, and they go the full 23 inches. What are they going to do? They're going to charge, and they're going to kill a bunch of Gretchen. I just don't care. At this point in time, Flash Gets come out, kill them. Mazrog and Beast Snaggers come out and freaking kill Angron. There's literally nothing that the World Eaters player can do to stop me, and I will auto-win this game. Let's say I go first as the Orks. Well, I have a strategy here called the Moving Bulwark. It floats. And what this is going to do is it's going to really screw my opponent over. So I'm just going to move my Gretchen up. I'm going to advance them a little bit. Let's just advance them a little. We'll just move them up to like right here or something. Let's turn this off. Have my truck come on up. I can even move my truck all the way up and let my Beast Snagga boys come out over here. Death Copters can come up behind it. Sorry, missed this guy. I'm going to do the exact same thing with these Gretchen. They're just going to move all the way up. And say they advance some, and they're going to... Oh, jeez. All right. I don't want to reposition this, but you guys get the drill. Move it up like this. Da-da-da. Space them all out. They can even space out a little bit more than that, so we'll call it like this, like this, like this. I can even touch objectives with his advance, because remember, I just don't care about him killing Gretchen. He wants to kill Gretchen. I'm a happy, happy boy. At this point in time, I can come over here. I'm going to let my Flash Gets out. They're going to stand right here behind these Gretchen, and they are going to overwatch the crap out of anything that really, really wants to charge these Gretchen. So they're just going to stand somewhere like this. This stupid line is here. You guys get the drift. Mazrog gets to move up as well. We'll move all these hogs up. These Coptas can move on over here, and they're just going to continue to block me. Yes, I know that I give up a few bring it down points, but I don't care if I give up a few bring it down points if it means his entire army immediately dies. Now, would I like to have War Bikers to do this job instead of Death Coptas? In this particular matchup, sure, I really would. But basically every other matchup, I'm happier with Death Coptas, so I can accept the fact that I give up a few bring it down points in this one particular matchup. So here, what's going to happen in his turn? Angron's going to move up. He's going to kill Gretchen. I don't care. Berserkers are going to come out. They're going to kill a truck. I don't care. Berserkers are going to come up. They're going to kill some Death Coptas. I don't care, because then they're going to immediately die to Squig Hog boys. Exalted 8-bound come up. They're going to immediately die to Flash Gits and Mazrog. Essentially what happens is I just recreate my turn 1 deployment every single turn. And no matter what, the World Eaters will never have a good turn, and I automatically win outside of just the craziest dice rolls possible. So guys, hopefully you enjoyed this. This is how I would play against the World Eaters if I were you. This is how I play against the World Eaters with every freaking one of my armies. And I think it's a really important thought process, which is why I really wanted to share it with you guys. If you're struggling against World Eaters, if you're struggling against Orks, you just have to understand that you have to start building your armies a little bit different. Maybe we'll dig into a deeper dive video on the melee meta as I'm professing right now. But for right now, deploy smarter against your World Eaters. You're going to crush it. You're going to love it. If you like this video, please leave me some likes and some comments down below. If you want some more information like this, dude, hop on over to the members only section of the Discord. It is $4 only, but there is just constant tactical advice going on there. We are innovating every single day. I do live stream and tutorials very often over there. I respond to basically every single message in the members only section. Even in the free section, I respond to basically every single message. If you're looking for coaching and you want to be one of my coaching clients who has been performing like this the entire edition already and have been smashing it, then join the Adeptus Custodes. You can do that through my coffee links down below. Anyway, I hope you all guys, everyone here just has an amazing, amazing day. And until next time, I'll catch you here at Happy Crumpin' Wargaming. Bye-bye.